Hey guys, this is Shen. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. And I'm here today with my sister, Moon.
Hi!
So here's how this will go. So I'm gonna tell you a supernatural story, and we can discuss about it after I'm done, or as we go along.
Sure.
Anything is fine.
Alright.
So today's story is about Bell Witch hunting. Have you ever heard about it?
No,
Never?
never.
Oh. I actually haven't heard about it either, to be honest. I heard it on some podcast and then I looked into it. First of all, I did not like the story yet, and then as I researched, I found it interesting.
No, I have never heard of it.
So the story took place in Adamstown, which is in northwest of Robertson County, Tennessee. They have a lot of names. They also have Red River in the name. I don't know how it works because I don't live in US at all.
That's okay.
This is one of the legendary folklore about an invisible entity that was, for the first time in US history, actually blamed for murder.
What time did it happen? Do you know the timeline?
Yeah, it was around 1804, and John Bell and his wife, along with 10 other family members, most of them were his kids, moved from Edgecombe County, North Carolina, to Red River, Tennessee. They started farming and would become very successful farmers over the years. They were liked and respected by everyone, but around 1810s, there was a scandal going on about John Bell, John Bell's character. Around that time, there were also another family of farmers called the Bates family. They also moved from North Carolina to Adamstown. Around 1816, there was a traumatic accident that made the Bates family hate the Bells. Not that the Bells caused the Bates family any accident, but Frederick Bates injured himself while working on his farm, and because of the injury, he'd be physically impaired. And since he couldn't work anymore, the Bates family started losing a lot of money. He had to sell parts of his properties, and some of it was even bought by John Bell. But this didn't make Frederick's wife, Kate, happy, because John bargained with the Bates family about the property, and he got it for cheap. She kind of cursed the Bell family, saying she'd make them pay for what they have done. And I don't think John Bell cared much, and he went on tricking the Bates family again.
So he tricked the first time as well?
Yeah, because he bargained with them and you got it for cheap.
Okay.
He then went on purchasing a young slave girl from Frederick's brother, Benjamin. Since the girl was too young, John left the girl with her mother for a bit longer. But when he went back to get her, Benjamin thought John actually paid less for the girl and that she was worth more.
Okay.
So this made the Bell sell the girl back to Benjamin, but for more than what he had originally paid for. Because of this, Benjamin Bates filed a lawsuit against John Bell for extortion. But Bell didn't know about this, and so when the hearing date came, he never went. And because of that, the court sided with Benjamin.
How come Bell never got any notification of that?
I have no idea actually. They never mentioned anything.
Okay.
So the word got out and the local church found out about it, and he was no longer part of the church anymore. It's not like they were part, like he wasn't welcome to come in the church anymore.
Okay.
Now, since Frederick was physically impaired, Kate became the head of the Batts family, and people didn't really like her. Not because she was a woman and she was the head of the family, it's because she was a terrible person.
And no one said anything else?
I think everyone was scared of her.
Okay.
Also, another reason people started avoiding her is because they used to think that she practiced witchcraft.
Must have been pretty common back then.
It's the 1800s, I think. Yeah.
To suspect people of witchcraft
If they don't like
them.
anyone.
Yeah.
In 1817, John was hunting on his land and he came across this creature which looked like a large black dog, but it had a head of a rabbit.
I don't think I've ever heard of any creature like that, even mythical ones.
Yeah, at first when they said large black dog, I thought
Really?
it was serious black. So he shot at it, but it disappeared. He didn't tell any of this to any of his family, but there was another incident where they started hearing stones being thrown at the house, and obviously they couldn't find anything.
The Bell family.
Yes, the Bell family. But soon after, these paranormal activities moved inside the house. There were loud thuds, scraping noises on the floor and the wall, and they heard rats scratching at the legs of their bed. I don't know how they thought it was a rat. They didn't see anything. Yeah, they didn't see
Okay,
anything. That's just weird. And it would go on all night, almost every day, and they couldn't find anything. So the family tried to ignore it, and they also thought it was Kate doing all this thing.
But she was practicing witchcraft on them.
No, just making the noise and everything. She's causing all this. It's unexplainable. Since they started ignoring it and the spirit wanted their attention, it only got worse, the incidents. One night, the entity was making noises and it woke up their 14-year-old daughter, Elizabeth, aka Betsy. And she found her hair tied in knots around the bedpost. And then she couldn't get up. And then she was slapped multiple times by this invisible thing and she screamed out. Her family came rushing into her room and found her with red slap marks all over her face. And soon after that incident, their sons would also start getting the same marks all over their faces and their legs. But John Bell specifically said that keep all of this quiet. They didn't want any of these to get out.
I know I said I didn't hear this story before, but I think I vividly remember maybe watching in a movie about this thing where a girl woke up to find her hair tied on the bedpost.
Yeah, they have movies about it because it's such a legendary
But I
story.
don't remember much about the story. I just remember a thing like that.
From then on, they started seeing weird apparitions. The slave claimed that they saw birds and animals that could talk. Betsy saw a girl in a green dress hanging by her hands from a tree. Then it disappeared. The sound and physical abuse got worse and worse over time, and the Bell family couldn't bear it. So John decided that he would tell his friend, also his neighbor, James Johnston, and asked for his help. They agreed, and they decided James and Johnston, not James and Johnston, sorry, James Johnston and his wife came over to the family house, and they decided to pray together to get rid of the evil spirit.
So by this time, they are sure that these are evil spirits and not the Bates family.
Yeah, because they couldn't find anything, and they saw all the slap marks, and they started getting abused, right, by invisible things.
Okay.
They're not completely sure that it wasn't the Bates family, but they are sure that there's something evil going around.
Right.
One time, Johnston even asked the entity what was its name, and it replied Kate.
So then the Johnston family also saw these things.
Yeah, they weren't successful to cleanse the house, so they decided to ask help from others and let the news spread a little bit. But the news spread so quickly, even people from far away started coming to the house to check for the entity. And now that the entity got attention, started to physically do other things, like move things.
Alright.
This news got so big that it reached Army General and future US President Andrew Jackson.
Oh wow.
He then decided to take a few of his soldiers with him to the Bell home and to stay there for a few days.
Because he wanted to see what's going on, or he didn't.
Yeah, he
believe
was
it?
very fascinated. Like
Okay,
what was?
so he
yeah.
didn't. As of yet, he didn't believe the story, or was it because he wanted to see what the entity could do?
Oh, I think he believed it. That's why he went to see it.
Okay.
So on the way there, when they got closer to the house, there was one of the soldiers who made fun of the spirit, saying that I've got a silver bullet, and if I see the ghost, I'm gonna kill it. Right after the soldier said all these things, their wagon stopped moving completely. The wheels wouldn't turn, and even if they tried, the horses tried moving it, the soldiers tried moving it, it just wouldn't budge at all. So Andrew Jackson decided that he would apologize to the spirit on behalf of his soldier, and right after that, they started moving as if nothing had happened.
So that means, was it near to their house or in the city?
No, near to their house.
So okay, that makes sense.
Even though they decided that they were gonna stay there for a few days, but they returned just after a day.
So Andrew Jackson stayed there for about a day only.
Yeah. And Jackson said, I would rather face the whole of British Army than spend another night at the Bell House.
So that means he was very frightened.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. Nobody knows
Because
what happened.
the incident with the wolf, that does not seem that frightening as much as the incidents that other took place in the house. So did he see anything more?
He
Or-
must have. He didn't say anything else. He just said this. Even though most of the Bell family members used to get abused by the spirit, it actually liked Lucy Bell, John's wife. Even when she was dying of an illness, Kate would sing her gospel hymns and would leave her hazelnut and grape on her bed, which would materialize out of thin air.
Wait, so Kate came to visit the Bells?
No, the spirit's name is Kate, remember?
Oh yeah, right, that's right.
Lucy slowly improved, but at the same time, her husband John was getting ill really fast. John Bell was found dead in his bed on 20th December, and people thought it was Lucy who killed him, but Kate spoke up saying, I fixed the medicine last night and gave him a big dose of it. he'll never get out of that bed again.
So the spirit didn't like John.
Yeah, it was very open about hating John.
But before it was abusing all the kids as well.
Yeah, it was abusing the kids and it really hated John to the point that it killed him.
But it liked Lucy.
It seemed to like Lucy, yeah. And that's how it was the first time in US history there was an actual documented death was blamed on supernatural entity.
Makes sense, especially because so many people seem to be aware of it. I mean, if Andrew Jackson knew about it, and I mean that's enough to make this a very legit case.
Kate even showed up at John's memorial, laughing and singing, drinking songs. All the activities stopped after John died. But in 1821, Joshua Gardner proposed to Betsy Bell. She saw the girl hanging from the tree again, and the girl said not to get married to Gardner. So she got scared and she backed off from the engagement. So far, that's all we know about that family around that time. There has been several theories around this story about Bell Witch.
But the theories started later on, not while the entity was seen.
The theories started around that time as well, and it's still going on at this time.
Mm-hmm.
There was this one theory that all of this was to cover John's murder because Lucy Bell was John Williams Jr.'s younger sister, who was the father of Kate Williams Batts. That could be one of the reasons why Lucy was spared and was liked by the entity.
So Lucy and Kate were related.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. They didn't mention it in the history.
At that time, they didn't know, or like there were no records about them.
They probably
knowing
knew,
about
but
it?
they just hated each other.
Okay.
Another theory that Betsy went on to marry her teacher, Richard Powell, who was already married. And he could have been the one who staged everything. And it was so weird that his wife died at the same year, mysteriously died. I don't actually know how she died. She died the same year Joshua Gardner proposed to Betsy.
But she refused that marriage.
She refused Gardner's marriage. She
Yes,
went on
because-
marrying the...
Okay, so Betsy claimed to refuse Joshua Gardner because of the entity.
Yeah.
But there are theories that this was originally because she was already planning to marry an already married guy.
I don't think she was planning to marry. He just liked her and then scared her
Into marrying him.
or
maybe-
scared her not marry Joshua.
Okay, yeah. So the theory is that he scared Betsy and the whole entity thing is made up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, a lot of people used to think that Kate Batts died, and her spirit was haunting them. But Kate Batts actually died after John died.
Yeah, so that can't be her.
Yeah, but since she was taught to be
Practicing witchcraft.
yeah,
And the entity's name is also supposedly Kate.
yeah. Even today, people experience strange phenomenon, including the descendant of the Bell family. Bob Bell, one of the descendants, remembers his grandma asked Bob's father to check for intruders at her place, but they couldn't find much, except a cabinet in the kitchen which was supposed to be locked, but it was open, and the dishes were on the floor, all over the floor, scattered around, and none of them were broken or scratched.
What time period was this?
It was pretty recent, like in the 21st century.
When they're still holding on to the belief that it's haunted.
Yeah, they're still haunted. Also, they think that it's not just the house that's haunted, it's with the Bell family. It travels around with the Bell family.
So the family is cursed and it's not got nothing to do with the place.
Yeah. Also, the place also was destroyed, and now also people thinks that there's a cave nearby, and the spirit now lives in the cave as well. It just travels around to multiple places at the.
So it's both the place and the family.
Yeah. There was another incident occurred involving a local historian and town museum curator, Tim Henson. He met a man who took a rock from the caves, and then 3 days after visiting the cave, he lost his wife, his job, and his home.
Is that supposed to signify the 3 stones, the 3 things he lost?
No, I don't know, but he could have lost it anyway. He just think that it's the rock he took.
Okay.
Now, all the incidents other than recent ones were written in a book called An Authenticated History of Bellwitch by Martin V. Ingram in 1904. Sorry, it's not 1904. It's 1894. Who was a newspaper editor, and it is the first and maybe the only full-length record of the legend. So nobody knows all these things actually happened.
So this could also be that the author made all the story up?
Claimed that one of the family member came to him and gave him a diary which had all this incident written in. And nobody knows where this diary is or was, never seen or heard about it.
How would a president be involved in this?
What about Andrew Jackson going there and saying all this is not even recorded. He was a president and nobody knows, there is no record of Andrew Jackson actually going there and saying all these things.
But if there is no proof that the president went there or any of these stories, so how did this story become so famous? Just because an author claimed that, oh, this is what happened around there in that time.
I guess, and everybody agreed with it.
Because people are like urban legends.
People like urban legends, yeah. And also think about it. If I tell you something and you go tell somebody else, like Chinese whisper, the story won't match up. Rumors will keep on adding, or the story will completely change.
Yes, but as I said, if there are no other documents except for this certain author claiming to have written this book about this story, why is this story so famous? But surely there are so many other stories as well.
I know, it didn't seem like a very interesting story.
Exactly.
But the only reason I found it interesting, I think this is one of the reasons that people find it interesting, is because by law, John's murder was blamed on an entity.
That makes sense. What about the fact that they named a US president in the story? Did no one ever ask
Andrew Jackson directly?
Maybe not. Maybe if they didn't ask him directly, you just can go up to the president to ask him. But no one wrote to the White House or no one wrote to any government officials to verify the story?
They never dismissed it. They never said anything at all. And you get a lot of letters anyway. Nobody has to write it back to you.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe the White House or
back
anyone,
then.
yeah, the government didn't think it important enough, or maybe they didn't even predict that this story will become popular enough to still be around, right?
Yeah, exactly. And since they never said anything, people started believing the story. And I think that recent incidents that
Or it could also be sometimes if no one actually denies anything, people think it's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
could be that too. So about the recent incident, there wasn't much, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's like a few ups and downs, and nobody saw actually anything, right? Nobody said that the grandma, right? She didn't put the dishes on the floor. They came and saw the dishes like
Yeah,
that.
she could have done it too. Or even if she didn't do it deliberately, she could have dementia or something. Maybe she did it and forgot.
Yeah,
There could be so many explanations for that.
yeah, and you can't tell the guy who took the rock and he lost his job, wife, and everything. You don't know if he was gonna
Yeah.
already lose it or not.
Yeah, maybe he was bad at the job and
Yeah, things like that happen.
yeah.
But do we rule out that these things really never happened, or this entity does not linger around or was ever there, or do we believe in it?
Given that there is really one person, the author, who claimed that all this story is true.
True, by that time everyone was dead.
Yeah, so I feel like maybe he wanted to become famous and so he wrote a sensational story.
True.
I mean,
This got a lot of media attention. There are movies about it. People are talking. We are talking about it.
yeah, that's true. And his family members who are claiming this incident in recent time, maybe they're also trying to capitalize on this legend that's going on. I mean, why not?
Yeah, that could be one of the reasons. Thank you so much, Moon, for coming to my sort of podcast.
I've enjoyed it so far. I actually didn't expect to enjoy it this much.
This is my first time doing this. Previously, it's so weird to record by myself, right? So I decided that I might feel a bit more comfortable doing this, and if people likes it, I can continue it. I'll invite other guests, and if maybe someday I gain a bit of audience, I could ask other subscribers to send me their stories, maybe.
Or any urban legend they have heard of, right?
Yeah, maybe they have experienced it, or like you said, urban legends they have heard of.
And it could be from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, anyone can send it. Thank you so much, guys, for watching or listening. And if you like what I have drawn over here, you can check it out on my Instagram. Link will be in the description. There will be a Linktree link. You can click on it. You can also, if you want, I can upload this print to my Etsy. You can purchase it, and or else you can go check out my Instagram. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more contents like this. And if you are subscribed, please click the bell to be notified every time I post. Bye!
Bye-bye!